Hi everyone, Trina here, and this is 3.9, and thank you for being here. And we were getting ready to go into kindness to animals, and I'm interested to see what Trisha's got to say about that, because I am a firm believer in there's going to be consequences to those who hurt the children and the animals upon this planet. I think the karma is going to run pretty deep on that one. So I hope I'm right because I love animals and children, and I do everything possible to keep them safe and protect them and love them and guide them to be loving, beautiful humans and creatures. Because animals, boy, if they're treated harmfully when they're little, it takes so long to break those programs. I'm dealing with my husky, and he's a rescue, and literally they beat him so bad that they broke his hip, and he was a mess when I got him. He was about 30 pounds underweight, which huskies only weigh typically about 50 pounds. So it was pretty brutal. He looked like he wasn't even his appropriate age because his growth was so stunted from his malnutrition and his starvation. So it's taken me about a year to get him on track, but boy, he's a healthy, beautiful boy. But he's still sensitive, and he still has fear in his cells, and I can feel it. So we're still trying to work through that, and he requires a little bit of a gentle hand because he's just been so traumatized. So I am grateful that we got him, and I'm grateful that he understands that there are two different kinds of humans. Ones who beat and abuse, and ones who love and heal. So you guys are the lovers and the healers, and so grateful to be in a circle of beautiful souls such as you all. So thank you for being part of this beautiful tribe. Okay, so kindness to the animals. Let's turn now to Jesus' beautiful teachings about the animals. In the Gospel of the Holy 12, we discover several chapters having to do with Jesus' admonitions to treat animals in a more loving and humane way. One of these stories chronicles how Jesus saves a horse from being beaten to death. Oh, I would have too. In another, Jesus saves a camel who is overladen with goods from a cruel master. In a third story, Jesus rescues a cat from being tortured by some boys for fun. In each of these cases, Jesus heals the animals and tries to bring enlightenment to the human abusers. Be ye therefore considerate, be tender, be pitiful, be kind, not to your own kind alone, but to every creature which is within your care. For ye are to them as gods, to whom they look in need. We're seeing this too. We're seeing animals in the ocean, whales, sharks coming up to humans because they're tangled in the garbage, in the nets, in the trash. They've got hooks stuck in their bodies, and they're coming to the humans, and the humans are helping them. Every time I see these stories, it makes me cry because it just makes me so proud to stand with the other humans who operate with such integrity. In the New Testament, there is a scene in the temple when Jesus loses his temper, and he frees all the animals being held for sacrifice by the priest. However, there were once more kinds of these stories in the Gospels. In one account found in the Gospel of the Holy 12, Jesus rescues a stray cat, putting her inside his garment where she lay in his bosom. He sets food and drink before the cat, and then he gives her to a widow named Lorenza to be cared for. Some of the people said, "This man careth for all creatures. They are his brothers and his sisters, and that he should love them." Holy 12, 34, 7 through 9. In this section of the Gospel of the Holy 12, which was cut out of our original Bible, Jesus goes on to explain about the nature of animals. Verily, these are your fellow creatures of the great household of God. Yea, they are your brethren and sisters, having the same breath of life in the eternal. And whosoever careth for one of the least of these, and giveth it to eat and drink in its need, the same doeth unto me. And whose willingly suffereth one of these to be in want, and defendeth it not when it was evilly entreated, suffereth the evil as done unto me, and as you have done in this life, so shall it be done unto you in the life to come. A Holy 12, 34, 9, 10. At another time, the disciples tell Jesus of a man who is tormenting animals for profit, just today as people use dogs and roosters for dog fights and cockfights. Jesus tells them, Verily I say unto you, they who partake of the benefits which are gotten by wronging one of God's creatures cannot be righteous, nor can they touch holy things or teach the mysteries of the kingdom. Whose hands are stained with the blood, or whose mouths are defiled with flesh. Wherefore, I say unto all who desire to be my disciples, keep your hands from bloodshed, and let no flesh meat enter your mouths. For God is just as bountiful, and ordaineth that man shall live by the fruits and seeds of the earth alone. But if any animal suffer greatly, and if its life be a misery unto it, or if it to be dangerous to you, release it from its life quickly, and with as little pain as possible. Send it forth in love and mercy, but torment it not. And God the Father, Mother, will show mercy unto you, as you have shown mercy unto those given into your hands. Holy 12, 38, 2 through 5. Finally, there is a wonderful story about Jesus saving a lion who was being hunted by a group of men with stones and javelins. And Jesus rebuked them, saying, Why hunt ye these creatures of God, which are more noble than you? By the cruelties of many generations, those were made the enemies of man, which should have been his friends. If the power of God is shown in them, so also they are shown, his long-suffering and compassion. Cease ye to persecute the creature, who desireth not to harm you. See ye not how he fleeth from you, and is terrified by your violence. And the lion came and laid at the feet of Jesus, and showered love to him. And the people were astonished and said, Lo, this man loveth all creature, and has power to command even these beasts from the desert. They will obey him. Holy 12, 6, 19 through 21. It was so interesting. A while back I had a dream. And it was after my sister and I had spent a weekend together, which was long overdue and so wonderful. But when we returned home the following weekend, we both ended up at my mom's house, and we were there. And my sister, she goes, I had the strangest dream last night. And I was like, I did too. And I said, she said, what was your dream? And I says, I dreamt that I was in a different reality, and I saw a golden planet in the sky, and it had a stargate wrapped around the planet, and it was rotating. and it looked like the Stargate was going to open, but it wasn't opening yet. It was adjusting the dial, and I was watching it in the sky, and I was looking around, and some of the people could see it and some of the people couldn't, but they didn't really seem like it was any big deal. So this was when I probably came to the realization, oh, I'm in another reality, so this is normal here. So I was just getting ready to go about my business, and then I woke. And then I said to my sister, I says, well, what was your dream? And she says, we were at the cabin. And she said, and we had this hunting garage, and it was multi-story. So the whole half of the garage was high ceilings with the open beam rafters, because they would use that to process meat and hang the meat hooks and stuff like that from the ceilings. So it was these big steel beam rafters up in this tall ceiling. So we were in the garage, and my sister looked up, and there was a white tiger up in the rafters, and it was looking down on her like it was ready to pounce on her. And she instantly was overcome with fear, and she went to look for me, and she was going to call my name, be like, oh crap, Trina, there's a tiger who's going to get me, you know. And when she went to look for me, she saw me, but I was already surrounded, and I was fully surrounded by cats, all different kinds. She said every kind of large cat on this planet, puma, leopard, cheetah, lynx, jaguar, lion, lioness, every kind, white ones, brown ones, black ones. And then she said, all these cats were surrounding me, and she said, I knelt to the ground before them, and I bowed. And this huge, like puma, she said it towered all the other cats. It was just the biggest cat she'd ever seen. She said this huge puma came in, and it was like grayish black with these bright, piercing green eyes. And it came in, and it walked straight up to me, and it took its paw, and it put it on my shoulder. And I was just staying knelt, and I was giving gratitude and thanks for them, and showing I'm not afraid of you. I love you. And she knew that whatever I was doing was preventing us from any harm. And at that moment, she realized that she wasn't in harm either. And she looked up at that white tiger again, and the tiger jumped down, and it literally sat right next to her. And then she said, the puma slowly took its paw off of my shoulder after the white tiger came down out of the rafters and sat by my sister. And then she says, the puma took its paw off my shoulder, and then it just turned, and it started to walk away, and all the other cats followed in a line. And I was like, wow, that's incredible, because I have such a connection to animals, and I love them so much. And that was just a profound dream. I was like, wow, sister, that's pretty awesome. So I thought that was really cool. So I thought I would share that with you. It's amazing. My love for animals even shows up in other people's dreams. It is a great tragedy that these things and these teachings were taken from our Bible. Imagine what a difference, what a different world it would be today if we actually lived by these codes of kindness. However, it is clear that neither the Roman Empire nor the Jews wanted to give up their taste for eating meat, making blood sacrifice to their respective gods, or engaging in the killing sports of the Roman Colosseum. So, these teachings were edited out of our Bible. On this subject of animal sacrifice, Jesus warns, no blood offering of beast, bird, or man can take away any sin. For how can the consciousness be purged from a sin by the shedding of innocent blood? Nay, it will increase the condemnation. Holy 12, 33:2. Ooh, master teachings coming from a master number in a master verse, 33. It will increase the condemnation. Yep. If we are willing to consider that the same spark of light that lives within each cell of us also lives within the animals, we must ask ourselves, what right do we have to torture or kill our fellow creatures? Now, let us turn to the erasing of the Divine Mother from the Christian teachings. We have already had a glimpse of how the goddess was lost in Jewish history, but let us now discover what Jesus actually taught about the divine feminine. For it was this imbalance that the Master sought to restore. This is truth. And in the highly patriarchal world in which we lived. You know, it was interesting too. I stopped eating meat for a couple years, and then I got the MRSA, and I got super sick with that. And my homeopath told me that I had to start eating meat because I needed the proteins in them because of my specific blood type while I was healing. He was like, you might be able to modify this later. He's like, but right now, you really need to do this. And for me, I don't even need like white meat. I need red meat for my blood type. So he told me, but you don't need a lot, you know, and you don't need it often. And you can get a lot of these proteins from other things. But for whatever reason, it was very important for me to have small amounts of red meat in my diet. I'm the only blood type that literally has a requirement for red meat. And so with that, I was kind of bummed that I had to go back to it because I've always been a huge meat eater because it just works for my body. Literally, you know, you tend to seem to eat what works for you. So I've never had any problems with high cholesterol or nothing. So all the meat issues, I've never had any of them. So but one night I was meditating and I literally heard, you really shouldn't eat your friends. And it literally rocked me. I literally freaked out, started crying. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't even think about it. I just didn't. It was, and you know, I did know because when I was a child, I lived on a farm. And I remember when my dad killed our cows. And it freaked me out. And I was so upset. And I couldn't eat the meat. I mean, we had this meat in the freezer for over a year. Because you get a lot of meat from a cow. Needless to say, too. So we had tons of meat. And this was the meat that we used as a family to eat. But I couldn't eat it for months. And I finally, again, started to eat the meat. But it was absolutely horrible. But I will tell you, the way that my dad did it, because my dad was a butcher by trade. That's what he was trained in when he was a young kid. And the way my dad did it, they didn't even know it was happening. So it was so fast and literally bullet straight to the brain and they dropped. There was no warning, no fear, nothing. And he didn't even do it up close. He did it from a distance, so they didn't even see it coming. And but that day was so traumatizing to me because I raised those cows from babies and I fed them every day. I played with them. I mean, they were my friends. And when he killed them, it freaked me out. And he would look at me, he goes, how do you think you eat every day? And he would be like, this is how we work in this world. And he would be like drilling me. And I was like, but it's not right. It's not. But of course, you get beat over the head and indoctrinated into this is the way things are. So eventually I started to eat the meat. But this is, I think, going to change. And somehow, us people with this O positive blood type will figure out a way to get what we need within our blood without needing to consume our friends. So, I think we will start the next one on the teachings that must be suppressed. And to be honest with you, this is literally why I bought this book, was when I saw that. Because 16 is my number. And it says, chapter 16, the teachings that must be suppressed. That's why I was like, I have to own that book. So we will get into that one very soon. I love you guys. You're wonderful. You're the reason I do this, and with my desire to help connect, find, and explore all these hidden things in our world with you guys are putting me back together too. So, thank you. So, we'll see you on the next one. I love you all. Namaste.